There's holes in my heart, scars on my soul, nights I fell apart, and days I lost control on the inside, waiting for the storm to subside. Hey everybody, it's Buddy Melton, Balsam Range. I want to thank you for joining me for what we're calling the first episode of A Dose of Grit and Grace. We've had so many people that have reached out and expressed connections and tell their personal connections and stories with the new song Grit and Grace by Balsam Range. And I just thought it was a great opportunity to maybe share some of these amazing stories and real people, real connections, real people providing grit and with their faith and trust that God will provide the grace. And so I thought it would be most fitting for this first episode to bring in a person who really started this song. I've known her my entire life, and I'd like to introduce you to my mother, Ann Melton. Good to have you with us, Meemaw.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's fun to get to do this and share the stories behind the song and connections with the song is the intent of this for people to see. And I was thinking, you had started this song a long time ago. I actually found a version of your song from back in 2015, and it had a lot of this very similar message about the song. But I really feel like the song kind of just, there's a timing's everything, and maybe this timing wasn't ready for it. It seems most fitting this year, definitely with all that's been going on. But I also feel like the song really took a new life and really came to life well when you collaborated with one of your second grade students who has been a big connection with the Balsam Range over the years, a good friend of mine. What can you tell us about your collaboration?
I had Melton Miller in second grade. I was so privileged to have him in my class. Writing has always been a big part of my life and Melton's life. And it was interesting because that year in second grade, every month we studied a different genre. Mysteries, biographies, autobiographies. I never did songwriting. I've wondered many times if I'd done songwriting, what kind of song would Melton have written? It would have been good, I bet. I think we need to interject here that Melton has been awarded Songwriter of the Year by IBMA.
He has, very fitting award. Yeah, so I guess, the thing about that song, the thing that really touched me about this song is the message and the meaning behind the lyrics of that song. And it's just one of those songs to me that connects with everybody. I mean, we all have struggles in life. There's all different types of struggles, and we'll have different struggles as we move through life. It's not free of that, no promise of it being free of struggles, but there is a promise that God will walk us through that. And I feel like that this song captures that, and everybody who hears the song, it will take them to a place in their life where they have had to provide some grit and to push forward and with the belief that God is there and will provide the grace. And so I was just thinking, when you heard this song, when you heard it finished, where did it take you? What story did it kind of life connection did you have with this song?
It made me think of the time when I was actually driving to work. And if I'm driving, I'm praying. Probably should be listening to Balsam Range videos, but I pray. And I was praying, talking to God, and he said to me, as plain as I'm saying to you, you are to go to Silva and open a funeral home. Now, my husband had been a mortician and funeral director for 49 years, and his lifelong dream was to go to his hometown to Silva and open a funeral home. And now God has said that we're to do that. I was so sure that was God speaking to me that when I got to the school I was going to be working in that day, there was a teacher there that I had grown up with, and she dabbled in real estate. So I went straight to her room and I said, Nancy, I have something to tell you, but you have to promise you won't tell anyone. She did. And I told her what God had told me. And I said, I will pay your substitute if you'll go to Silva and find a place for this funeral home. Now, I hadn't even told my husband, but that night I waited until dinner was over and things were quiet. He was reading the paper and I said, I have something to tell you. I said, as I'm driving to work today, God told me that we're supposed to go to Silva and open a funeral home. He said, Ann, we have no money to open a funeral home. I have no money. Both kids are in college. Buzz and Myra are both at Western, and you are at the University of South Carolina getting your doctorate. All three of you all are in college. That costs a bundle. We have no money to open a funeral home. And I said, well, you know what? I'm just the messenger. You pray about it for a week and see what God tells you. So he came back in a week and he said, you're right. We're supposed to do this. I'm not sure how. But I said, well, it is my belief that if God tells you to do something and you obey, he's going to go ahead of you and he's going to work everything out. Well, he told his boss that he was leaving, and I'll never forget, the boss came to see me that afternoon. He walked in the door. He said, Ann, I don't think you know what you're up against. You all are going up against a funeral home that's been there 4 generations. I said, you know, I know that, but you know what? We have God on our side. And so off we went. We went to Silva. It was so amazing. Honestly, you didn't have to take a vitamin a day. If God is giving you a miracle a day, you don't need a vitamin a day. And that's what he did. I mean, grace is unmerited favor of God. And that was definitely unmerited favor, that he did this for us, that he made my husband's dream come true. And what I think is so amazing is that, you know, grit is courage in face of danger. And we did face danger. We could have lost everything that we had worked 26 years for. Everything. We could have lost our house and everything. But we had God's unmerited favor. And because we obeyed, and this is what I want people to understand, when God tells you to do something, even if you're afraid, even if you don't feel qualified, whatever the reason, do it. If God tells you to do something, you obey. It's like, to me, his blessings that you're going to receive are like pearls. But you know what? You only find pearls in deep water. Sadly, so many people let fear keep them on the shore, keep them in the shallow waters. And if you're not willing to step out in faith, to step out in that deep water of faith, then you're not going to realize the blessings that God has for you and the knowledge that you're going to gain, the knowledge of God that's going to be there for you to learn. So my message is, if God tells you to do something, you do it, because he's going to be there for you. He's going to go ahead of you and work it all out. And the blessings are going to come pouring in. Obey God no matter what. He's going to be there for you. If you don't feel qualified, he'll qualify you. If you don't have the resources, he will provide them.
That's a great story. I was reminded of Deuteronomy 31:6, which says, be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you.
Exactly right.
Kind of ties into your message as well. And,
exactly.
Thank you for sharing that story and connection with the song, and thank you for the inspiration of the song and or bringing the song to life and connecting with Mylan. And Mylan brought in, I don't think I shared earlier, Beth Husband is also a co-writer, and she's just a powerful lyricist, does a lot of great work with Mylan. So thankful that you all brought this song to life. And you know, I think it's one of those songs that I think can help a lot of people. And the message in the song is just very encouraging song. Now, this is probably a whole other episode, but I want to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the song. You know, the song basically started with the lines, my understanding line, I provide the grit and God provides the grace. And tell us a little bit about the inspiration of that and where that came from.
If you're a deacon at our church, you are assigned about 15 families that you're to care for, pray for, visit, remember them on holidays and birthdays. And I was blessed, fortunate enough to have Reverend Walter Middleton as one of the people on my deacon list. And I loved visiting him. I learned so much from him. One day I went to visit and he didn't look well. And I said, Walter, are you okay? And he said, Ann, I'm fine, but I'm writing a book about my surviving the Bataan Death March and my 3.5 years in a prison camp. And he said, in order to write that book, I have to relive it. And so every night I walk the floor and I cry and I write. The name of his book is called Flashbacks, because these memories were like flashbacks of his Bataan Death March and his years in prison camp. And I said, Walter, how in the world were you able to survive the Bataan Death March? And he said, Ann, I'll tell you, I supplied the grit and God supplied the grace.
Yeah, that's a strong statement. You gave me that book to read, and it's a powerful book to read and to realize, the suffering that he gave for us so that we can have what we have today, and the history that there's so many people before us who have put their life on the line for us and suffered greatly so that we have the great country we have today and the life we all share. And when I opened that book up, what touched me most is he had signed it to you and said, and for folks like you, I'd do it all again. And to me, that's just a powerful statement for somebody who was truly willing to, knowing what they went through, to do it again for the belief in what we have. And that just speaks volumes for who he was. And I think this song is truly a testament of his grit and his grace and what he brought to the world. So proud that the song is helping others, but also a remembrance of a great hero of our country. Well, Meemaw, thank you for being with me and sharing your story and your connection and all that you brought to this song. And I just can't thank you enough for what you've done.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Thank you.
I supplied the grit, God supplied the grace.